This is an educational podcast, or EduCast, created by Jim House, Assistant Professor of Computer Science and Communication Arts Technology at Allegheny College of Maryland. For more information about Allegheny College of Maryland, please visit us on the web at allegheny.edu. In previous podcasts, we explained that an operating system is one factor that determines a computer's platform and compatibility. The term operating system, usually abbreviated as OS, is defined as system software which acts as the master controller for all activities that take place within a computer system. An operating system is an integral part of virtually every computer system. It fundamentally affects how you can use your computer. Can you run two programs at the same time? Can you connect your computer to a network? Does your computer run dependently? Does your software have similar look and feel? Or do you have to learn a different set of controls and commands for each new program you acquire? To answer questions like these, it's helpful to have a clear idea about what an operating system is and what it does. This podcast provides an overview of operating systems and compares some of the most popular operating systems for personal computers. A computer software is similar to a chain of commands in an army. You issue a command using application software. Application software then tells the operating system what to do. The operating system tells the device drivers tell the hardware, and the hardware actually does the work. The operating system interacts with application software, device drivers, and hardware to manage a computer's resources. In the context of a computer system, the term resource refers to any component that's required to perform work. For example, the processor is a resource. RAM storage space and peripherals are also resources. While you interact with application software, your computer's operating system is busy behind the scenes with such tasks as managing processor resources, managing memory, keeping track of storage resources, ensuring that input and output proceed in an orderly manner, and to establish the basic elements of your user interface. A microprocessor works with data and executes instructions stored in RAM, one of your computer's most important resources. When you want to run more than one program at a time, the operating system has to allocate specific areas of memory for each program. When multiple programs are running, the OS must ensure that instructions and data from one area of memory don't leak into an area allocated for another program. If an OS falls down on the job and fails to protect each program's memory area, data can get corrupted, programs can crash, and your computer can display error messages such as general protection fault. Your PC can sometimes recover from memory leak problems if you use Control-Alt-Delete. Behind the scenes, an operating system acts as a filing clerk that stores and retrieves files from your disks and CDs. It remembers the names and locations of all your files and keeps track of empty spaces and where new files can be stored. Every device connected to a computer is regarded as a resource. Your computer's operating system communicates with device driver software so that data can travel smoothly between the computer and these peripheral resources. If a peripheral device or driver is not performing correctly, the operating system makes a decision about what to do. Usually it displays an on-screen message to warn you of a problem. A user interface can be defined as a combination of hardware and software that helps people and computers communicate with each other. Your computer's user interface includes a display device, mouse, and keyboard that allow you to view and manipulate your computing environment. It also includes software elements such as menus and toolbar buttons. The operating system's user interface defines the look and feel for its compatible software. For example, application software that runs under Windows uses a standard set of menus, buttons, and toolbars used on the operating system's user's interface. Most computers today feature a graphical user interface, or sometimes referred to as a GUI. A graphical user interface provides a way to point and click a mouse to select menu options and manipulate graphical objects displayed on the screen. GUIs were originally conceived by the prestigious Xerox PARC research facility. In 1984, Apple Computer turned the idea into commercial success with the launch of its popular Macintosh computer, which featured a GUI operating system and applications. Graphical user interfaces didn't really catch on in the PC market until 1992 when Windows 3.1 became standard issue for most PCs, replacing the command line interface that required users to type, memorize commands, and run programs that accomplished tasks. In some computers, typically handhelds and video game consoles, the entire operating system is small enough to be stored in ROM. For nearly all personal computers, servers, workstations, mainframes, and supercomputers, the operating system for the program is quite large, so most of it is stored on a hard disk. The operating system's small bootstrap program is stored in ROM and supplies the instructions needed to load the operating system's core into memory when the system boots. The core part of the operating system is called the kernel, which provides the most essential operating system services such as memory management and file access. The kernel stays in memory all the time while your computer is on. Other parts of the operating system, such as customized utilities, are loaded into memory as they are needed. Although its main purpose is to control what happens behind the scenes of the computer system, many operating systems provide helpful tools called utilities that you can use to control and customize your computer's equipment and work environment. Utilities are typically accessed by using a GUI, such as the familiar Windows desktop. For example, you can launch programs, manage files, get help, customize your user interface, and configure equipment. One operating system might be better suited for some computing tasks than others. To provide clues to their strengths and weaknesses, operating systems are informally categorized and characterized using one or more of the following items. A single-user operating system expects to deal with one set of input devices. Those you can be controlled by one user at a time. Operating systems for handheld computers and many personal computers fit into this single-user category. DOS is an example of a single-user operating system. A multi-user operating system allows a single computer, often a mainframe, to deal with simultaneous input, output, and processing requests from many users. One of its most difficult responsibilities is to schedule all the processing requests at a centralized computer. A network operating system, also referred to as a server operating system, provides communications and routing services that allow computers to share data, programs, and peripheral devices. A multitasking operating system provides process and memory management services that allow two or more computers to run simultaneously. Most of today's operating systems, including the OS on your personal computer, offer multitasking services. A desktop operating system is one that's designed for a personal computer, a desktop, notebook, or tablet computer. The computer you use at home, at school, or at work is most likely configured with a desktop operating system, such as Windows or Mac OS. Typically, these operating systems are designed to accommodate a single user, but might also provide networking capabilities. Today's desktop operating systems invariably provide multitasking capabilities. Some operating system vendors categorize their products as home or professional versions. The home version usually has fewer network management tools than the professional version. Microsoft Windows is installed on more than 80% of the world's personal computers. The number and variety of programs that run on Windows are unmatched by any other operating system, a fact that contributes to its dominant position and most widely used desktop operating system. Since its introduction in 1985, Windows has evolved through several versions. The first version of Windows, including Windows 3.1, were sometimes referred to as operating environments rather than operating systems because they required DOS to supply the operating system kernel. Windows operating environments primarily supplied a point-and-click user interface complete with graphical screen displays and mouse input. Windows operating environments evolved into today's comprehensive operating systems that do not require the DOS kernel. The Windows operating system gets its name from the rectangular work areas that appear on the screen-based desktop. Each work area or window can display a different document or program, providing a visual model of the operating system's multitasking capabilities. Although Mac OS was developed several years before Windows, both operating systems based their user interfaces on the graphical model pioneered at Xerox PARC. Like Windows, Mac OS has been through a number of revisions, including the OS X Tiger, which was released in 2004. A decent collection of software is available for computers that run Mac OS, although the selection is not as vast as the Windows collection. Many of the most prolific software publishers produce one version of their software for Windows and another similar version for Mac OS. The Unix operating system was developed in 1969 at AT&T Bell Labs. It gained a good reputation for its dependability and multi-user environments, and many versions of it became available for mainframes and microcomputers. In 1991, a young Finnish student named Linus Torvalds developed the Linux operating system. Linux was inspired and loosely based on the Unix derivative called Minix. Linux is rather unique because it's distributed along with its source code under the terms of a general public license, which allows everyone to make copies for their own use, to give to others, or to sell. This licensing policy has encouraged programmers to develop Linux utility software and enhancements. Linux is primarily distributed over the web. Old-timers in the computer industry sometimes reminisce about DOS. It was the first operating system that many of them used, and its cryptic command line interface left an indelible impression. DOS, which rhymes with TOS, stands for Disk Operating System. It was developed by Microsoft, the same company that later produced Windows, and introduced on the original IBM PC in 1982. Although IBM called the operating system PC-DOS, Microsoft marketed it to other companies under the name MS-DOS. After more than 20 years, remnants of DOS still linger in the world of personal computers because it provides part of the operating system kernel for Windows versions 3.1, 95, 98, and ME. Users rarely interact with DOS, however, because it's well hidden by the Windows graphical user interface. Two operating systems dominate the realm of handheld computers, Palm OS and Windows Mobile OS. Palm OS is produced by PalmSource, a spin-off of the company that produced some of the first commercially successful PDAs. Palm OS is currently used for popular PDAs such as Palm One, Zaire, and Sony Sealeye. It also powers Fossil's wristwatch PDA and smartphones from manufacturers such as Palm One and Samsung. Windows Mobile OS is an operating system built on the Microsoft Windows CE technology. As a cousin to Windows XP, Windows Mobile OS sports some features similar to those found on the Windows desktop. Windows Mobile OS is an operating system for a variety of PDAs, phone-enabled PDAs, and smartphones. Windows XP Tablet Edition is an operating system supplied with just about every tablet computer. Its main feature is handwriting recognition, which accepts printed input from a touch-sensitive screen and then converts it into ASCII text. This has been an EduCast podcast brought to you by Jim House and Allegheny College of Maryland.